I hope you guys are having a good day today. I hope you guys are having a good day today. I got some videos for you, so let's just get started with them. What do you guys think? See that? Isn't that insane? That one looks real to me. This footage looks real to me. How the way everything is exploding and the whole thing looks pretty real. Let's play it one more time. Hope there's not any copyrighted music in this stuff. I'm not understanding the copyright stuff quite right yet, so I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but in case you're just all of a sudden don't hear the background to something and it sounds weird and off, that's why. You probably know already, but I'm working on it. We'll figure it out.
That's why they've banned incandescent light bulbs. Because incandescent light bulbs emit healing frequencies. Because the elites realize that they emit infrared radiation. And infrared radiation penetrates extremely deep into human body cells. And even stimulates melatonin production, which is the master antioxidant. And if we think of the sun mainly emits infrared radiation, which is exactly why they're blocking it out. And this is another reason why in the 1800s they were making light bulbs up to 20 times the size, because they were using these incandescent light bulbs to heal people through light frequency. And when you start to look at the light bulbs today,
have you guys ever seen those giant bulbs before? I've never heard of those giant bulbs. I've never seen those.
They are all LED light bulbs, because LED light bulbs do not give off healing frequencies, and they actually flicker up to 120 times per second, which can actually interfere with your brain and even your nervous system. So if you've ever wondered why incandescent light bulbs were banned by the elites, it's because they found something out about incandescent bulbs they don't want you to know about.
I'm totally on board with this one. Every time we have to quickly get rid of something or update something, it's usually whatever the thing came before is almost always better for you, like these incandescent bulbs. It's unfortunate. I live in Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure they banned sales of all incandescent bulbs over 40 watts. So you can only get appliance light bulbs, which is actually what the light bulb right there. That's a 40 watt appliance light bulb. I have a couple more. The other one happens to be an LED back there. I guess I just pointed it. I'm just stupid. I don't know how this works. And then the light right behind me here is also an incandescent, and I do feel like it just feels better on your eyes. I feel like you don't feel so wiry late at night when you have LED lights. I can tell I'm using a ring light right now to light up my face, and I can tell when I use this thing late at night that my eyes are more bugged out after just using it. And I accidentally turned it on super bright and it flashed my eyes, and I'm like, it like woke me up. And I was thinking, man, I forget how like powerful light is in those ways too. But fascinating. I think it's a great idea to get incandescent light bulbs if you can, or just get that natural light. I'm a big fan of natural light. I close all my windows right now so it looks all moody and cool, but it's I love the natural light.
Do you still think these giant craters are caused by asteroids? Aw, that's sweet. Well, if you don't want that fantasy ruined for you, I wouldn't keep watching. Let's start by looking how many of these craters have been found. And the Google machine says 190, but I've seen up to 195, which is awfully close to the number 200. 200 that just happens to be the exact same number of the fallen angels or watchers that were banished down to Earth for committing sins with human women. And then what if I also told you there's a pyramid in the middle of a crazy city where at the very top of it was a chamber where they had 200 perfectly aligned, beautiful seats. 200 exactly. And then I told you that the town name that pyramid's in just happens to be an anagram of the word Satan. Also has a light in it that looks very, very familiar. So familiar that I knew I had seen it somewhere before. Do you still?
I didn't know that we knew how many craters there are like that, or we had that count that's around 200, and that it was that close. Like I just assumed, like on the moon, you look at the moon and there's like a bazillion craters up there. So I just thought there would be like a bazillion craters all over the Earth, some big ones, some little ones. You know, I just didn't know there was 200 of them like that. So that's adds to the puzzle, you know.
For those of you who don't know, I'm ADHD and dyslexic. ADHD means that I have an untapped amount of energy to be able to focus on multiple projects at any one time, and dyslexic means that I have a unique ability to see every situation, opportunity, and problem with a unique perspective, to see things that most people don't, to do things that most people can't, because I can't see what I can.
Did you see it? You know what it is? It does look like a guy sitting up there. A giant frozen in time. That one looks pretty real.
Every single turtle on Earth has 13 larger sections in the center of its shell, and then 28 smaller sections on the outside of its shell.
Just like the months in a year, right? 13?
Now this goes for every single turtle on Earth. So if you have a pet turtle, go ahead and count the parts on its shell. And you will find...
Do you think it works for cats and hares?
13 larger sections and 28 smaller sections. Okay? So doesn't that sound very familiar? Well, the moon waxes and wanes in a 28-day cycle 13 times out of the year. But 13 times 28 is only 364. That's not 365. So people speculate that when we were on the lunar calendar of 13 months, we
Didn't
had
make
one
that
day
connection.
for resting and reflecting, and then we would go into the new year. So the real new year...
They already planned in the hangover. How nice is that? Wish we would do that today.
astrologically speaking, could not possibly be on January 1st, just after the winter solstice, when the sun makes its descent into the darkness and we have to face a cold, dark, long winter. At least in the northern hemisphere. That doesn't make any sense. The real new year should be on the spring equinox according to your relative location. So whenever it's spring where you are, that's the new year. But this video was for entertainment purposes only.
That also kind of makes sense to have the new year start when it makes sense for wherever you're located, because even if we say the Earth is spinning around, then it wouldn't be the same anyways. It would be off by something. I guess we do it by time zones for one spin, but seasonally that makes sense to me.
Oh, they have found many ancient technologies at these sites, because these buildings are the ancient technologies themselves.
Ancient technology or not, these things are remarkable, absolutely insane.
They, of course, will never let you and I know these technologies. And that is, of course, part of the control that they have over us all. The elites of this world know all about this free energy technology and could make it available to the masses in an instant, just as our ancient past did. Yet, sadly, that's not the world we live in. We are intentionally held back, technologically and other. Our true history and its advanced capabilities are deliberately hidden from us as well. But just look at the architecture and the designs that went into these structures of our past. The technology is still very much there, and it's been hidden in plain sight from us. We are but the inheritors, living in a post-apocalyptic realm, not knowing the greatness of the past that's been hidden all around. Research the mud flood and fall of Tartaria. Question everything, friends.
How many pillars do we have to spin before you guys just buy into this theory already? I mean, it's obvious. You spin a pillar, you spin a rock, you know that there's alternate energy everywhere, then it's obvious. No, but these things are crazy, and they resemble some technologies that we have today. And these just look like they serve a purpose. They don't look like they just did this design for no reason in so many different places. And I think a lot of these things may have potentially even turned to stone as well. It's kind of my theory that a lot of our geologic history isn't as long as we think it is. And there are some things that happen a lot faster than I think they happen. Like, I think that petrified forests are really weird to me in deserts. I understand that landscapes change, continents apparently shift around and whatnot, and weather has changed over the years. But what was I saying about that? I just lost my thought. Dang it. I was just saying that I lost my thought. Oh my gosh, whatever. Next.
The initial reason for the fall of Tartaria was a demonic superweapon. Stick with me. Tartaria was not easy to siege and conquer. They had very powerful defensive weapons in this world and the next. If you want a little insight into how this technology worked, just read the story of Jericho in the Bible. That horn is not a metaphor. That horn was an actual sound frequency weapon. Back during the fourth or last age of this plane, human beings discovered the philosopher's stone of technology, frequency. Frequency was used to create and manipulate matter, as well as pull in energy from other dimensions. Tartaria and the larger empire that Tartaria was a part of was a perfect example of the perfection of this technology. The Tartarian bells were frequency emanators. These frequencies healed people, kept everything in harmony, and also created a sort of force field. If you've ever watched a Marvel movie and you're a student of the occult and esoteric, then you'll know that they're constantly hiding little secrets about the past in those movies. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is a perfect example that shows us exactly what happened when Tartaria first started to fall. The following 30 seconds contain spoilers for that movie. When Wanda is trying to siege the temples of the protectors of the realm, she gets into one of the person's minds that's holding up those frequency protections. She is able to get them to feel fear and doubt, and because of that, they stop putting their energy up, and a hole is created in the
Do not fear. Do not fear. Do not fear. Do not fear. 365 times.
force field. That's how she gets in. And that is how our enemy got into Tartaria. They created a sort of Trojan horse of supernatural power. It was a demonic and psychological attack from within. If you want more context on this, just look at the Egyptians' account of the invading sea people. The Egyptians were warned by Europe as this foreign people that came from out of nowhere started taking over Europe. They were able to send some emissaries down to Egypt to warn them of the coming army. Egypt was able to prepare, and with ankhs, which are repeaters for the energy that comes from the pyramids, they were able to levitate these boats and crash them back down into the sea, and repel the invading forces that were trying to destroy and conquer Egypt like they had done to Europe. Our ancestors mastered the power of frequency to do just about anything they wanted in this reality. As we know with quantum physics, frequency creates particle by disrupting space-time and causing there to be a sort of rift in the sheet. That rift becomes matter and energy. They understood how to create the rifts. But the invading enemy also had their own version of this superweapon, and that was supernatural demonic attack. Once they got into the heads of some of the people within the Tartarian and Atlantean Empire, they were able to destroy from within. This is why the enemy destroyed those bells that sat atop these buildings and replaced them with regular old clocks. Stay tuned for the next part where I tell you how the bell technology works. It's
a really interesting theory, and I think there's a lot of cases where this exact idea is how people lose power and lose strength and lose community and lose some of these bigger ideas. I do remember what I was saying before about the trees, about the petrified woods. I think that stuff happened really fast. I think that's what I was trying to get at. I think that happened really fast, and that it didn't happen over thousands of years. And it might have been like a single event of electricity being blasted from somewhere, or some plasma ray from something, or some energy weapon, or maybe just some galactic event that blasted things, or even maybe burned a scar in the ground, which became the Grand Canyon. That looks more like burned wood than it does something being carved out by a river for a long time. So I think that might have happened in a lot of places where the rivers may have started, or we have some of them, and they may be both. It might be a river now, but started from a big electrical shock. But so there's that. Now back to this. It also reminds me of, I think it's everybody's duty to stay positive. And I don't mean in a crazy way or toxic positivity way. I mean that I think that everybody has reasons, legitimate reasons, to not like the world and what's happening to them and people that are around them. And they have every legitimate reason, seemingly on paper or in the story, that you would agree with, that says that you should not treat people with respect, and you should get back, or you should, get yours, or whatever it may be. And I think it's everybody's individual duty to try to be their best, because everybody is going through their version of that, and their pain hurts to them just as much as your pain hurts to you. And their legitimate concerns are just as legitimate as yours. And we're all having a tough time. And if we all start thinking that, well, we should just be crappy to each other, I think the world will be super crappy to each other. And I do think it's a choice that we have to make. And we have to understand that life is super challenging, and it's important to remain focused on the fact that it's more fragile than we'd like to admit sometimes. So that's my little 2 cents for you today.
Not a single eye.
You can see the people are walking around on something that's absolutely remarkable. I mean, look at that. This is Buffalo, New York, 1901. Just stunning.
That's Buffalo, New York, 1901. That's why I put it in there. I'm like, all right, what country are we in? Somewhere really cool, probably in Europe. I don't know. Just not here, not in the United States. Buffalo, New York. There it is.
Stunning architecture. And this all has a frequency. We've talked a lot about this with frequency, resonance, fractals, all of these materials, all the copper that was used. Every statue on top of these buildings had copper. Every angel on top of these buildings had copper. And then you start to wonder, well, copper is only 1% of the soil. Where were they getting it all from? So Buffalo, New York, look at that fountain right there, right in the middle. Just, keeping the water intact. And then this is New York, Buffalo, New York, 1901. This was the sustainable buildings that people were, temporarily building. That's what they were telling us. You got right there. There's more water.
You got to look into those. I'll share some stuff with that at some point.
Because
so crazy.
I don't believe that, they were horse and wagon time at that time. But the society who was building this, look at how much they cherished water. I mean, there's so much water and fountains and all of this. And then you go to the next one, which you have a Coliseum in Buffalo, New York.
Whoa.
Picture I don't think many people have seen, which is interesting.
No.
You have this, and that can be energy.
Is this the World's Fair?
This is the World's Fair, yes.
Yes.
This is the picture, and then let me just, you can.
That stuff's crazy. That stuff was in the United States. I don't know if any of that still exists, but that stuff is around. That stuff is just wild. I don't get that we're just comfortable with that being the story, that was just built because we liked it and we cared back then, and now we just don't care anymore. Just not buying it. But other than that, that's all the clips I got for you today. I hope you have a lovely day. Please like and subscribe if you like this video, and I'll see you tomorrow. See you guys later.